Listen, if you're still trying to figure out what's damaging your hair, it might not be your products. It might be your style choices. Not every protective style is actually protecting your hair. And just because a style looks low maintenance doesn't mean it's low manipulation. So in this video, I'm breaking down 20 popular hairstyles and sorting them out properly. Now, in my last video, we broke down why protective styles are crucial in both summer and winter. And the video before that, I explained the best moisturizing method depending on the seasons. So if you haven't seen those videos yet, pause right here or line them up for later, because they'll give you the full picture of what we're talking about today. Now, let's get into today's topic. Okay, so today we're diving into the difference between protective styles, low manipulation styles, and yes, whether a style can actually be both. Because we throw those words around like they're interchangeable, but they're not. And understanding this distinction could be the key to your length retention breakthrough. And with that, let's start with low manipulation hairstyles. Okay, so just because you're not combing your hair every day doesn't mean it's protected. Let's unpack that. So, what exactly are low manipulation hairstyles? Well, low manipulation hairstyles are styles that reduce how often you handle your hair, which means less breakage from brushing, combing, or styling every day. But here's the problem. Your ends, they're still out and they're still exposed. So they're still rubbing against your clothes, drying out from the air, or catching breakage from friction at night if you don't cover your hair properly. So low manipulation doesn't mean low exposure, and exposure is where damage creeps in. So while these styles are great for reducing hands-in-hair syndrome, you know, a lot of us are guilty of that, they don't protect your hair strands from friction, dryness, or the elements. And that's where people get it twisted. So let's break down some popular low manipulation styles and what you should watch out for. Okay, so first on the list we have twist out. Now, twist outs might look cute, but if your ends are wilding, that's breakage waiting to happen. And as we know, twist outs are two-strand twists unraveled after a few days. Now, this style is considered low manipulation because it requires minimal daily styling once it is set, and also it reduces combing, but it still requires some maintenance. However, your ends are exposed, so they're not fully protective. Next, we have braid outs, which are similar to twist outs, but they were created from cornrows or individual braids. Now, this style often holds its curl much longer, and it tends to be less frizzy, and it requires fewer touch-ups. However, to avoid breakage during takedown, you need to be gentle, and handling your hair with care is absolutely necessary. Remember, our hair is already very fragile. Now, another low manipulation hairstyle is loose two-strand twist. Now, these can be worn for several days before unraveling or redoing, and they are easy to install and maintain. It doesn't require any daily combing or anything like that. However, your ends are out, so it's not a full protective style. Now, moving on, we have loose flat twist, which is scalp friendly, quick, and low tension, which is good. Now, with this style, the scalp remains accessible, so your scalp is breathing, which is a good thing, and it can be styled in updos or for, you know, if you want variety. And although there is light manipulation when installing afterwards, manipulation is quite minimal. Next, we have low puff hairstyles, which is best to pair with a satin scrunchie to avoid tension on your hair strands. Now, this style keeps the hair mostly gathered together, and it's usually low tension when done with satin scrunchies or hair ties. However, once again, the ends are exposed, so they're not protective, but it provides low stress. So you're kind of seeing the gist, right? If your ends are not protected, it is not a protective style. Now, similar to puff hairstyles, we have buns. So we're talking low or high buns using minimal gel and soft accessories. Okay, now once again, I don't advocate for daily use of gels, as they can lead to moisture overload, which negatively affect length retention as they cause breakage. So if gel is your best friend, then breakage might be your roommate. All right. Okay, now if you haven't seen my videos on how gels can impact your hair, then go ahead and check the cards above, as well as the videos linked in the description bar below. Nonetheless, wearing buns allows the hair to be tucked in, but it may have tension at the base or the nape of your neck, and repeated slicking can strain your edges. Now, this style is considered low manipulation when done gently. All right, so next on the low manipulation list are chunky braids or twists. So we're talking big sections, braided or twisted loosely for minimal manipulation, and this is how I wear my natural hair 95% of the time. So I do large sections, which equal less install time and fewer partings, and it's easy to redo without full takedown. However, the ends are still vulnerable to the elements. All right, another low manipulation hairstyle is your summertime favorite, wash and go, especially for those with defined curls. Now with this style, you can set and leave your hair alone for several days. Now if your curls stay clumped and untouched, it's working. But if you're re-wetting and restyling daily, sis, that's manipulation. Okay, so after styling, you want to leave it alone. No retwisting, no nightly manipulation. However, this style only works as low manipulation if the curls are defined and left alone. And last but not least, we have the clipped updo. So that's using like claw clips to loosely hold your hair up without any bands or any hair ties. So with this style, there are no bands or elastic pulling on your hair strands, and your hair is loosely gathered together, and there's low daily stress on your hair, but again, the ends are still exposed to the elements, and as we know, the weather can have adverse effects on the hair. So make sure to check this video for more details. So bottom line, these styles are great when you want freedom, so they're freedom focused. All right, however, just because they're low manipulation and you're not combing your hair every day doesn't mean they're protective or that your hair is being protected. So don't confuse freedom with protection. Okay, so now that we understand what are low manipulation hairstyles and how to identify them, let's talk about something that often gets misunderstood in the natural hair community: protective styles. The heavy hitters. All right, so you can't call it protective just because it took 5 hours to install. Nah, let's talk about real protection. Now, the whole point of protective styles is tucking your ends away, which reduces manipulation and it shields your hair from external stress like friction, dryness, and breakage. But not every style sold as protective actually does the job. So let's talk about the ones that actually do. Now, the styles I'm about to share are the protective styles that fully protect the ends of your hair and can last for days or weeks, which minimize breakage and moisture loss. But let's first start by discussing short-term protective styles that typically last anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks, because you know there's different variations of protective styles. So let's get into it. Now, first on the list, we are talking about mini twists, which are done using your natural hair, which can be versatile and lightweight. And with this style, your ends are tucked or coiled at the ends. So there's no need to manipulate your hair daily. And again, it's lightweight and breathable, and that's what we want. We want our hair and scalp to breathe and thrive, right? All right, so next we have flat twist into a bun or a crown. Now this style is usually quite beautiful and elegant while still being protective, as your ends are fully tucked in a bun or in a pinned hairstyle, which is great for easy access to your scalp. okay, and moisture retention, and it's a style that's gentle on your edges because we still have to be protecting the edges. All right, now another one on the list is Canerows or Cornrows, however you want to say it, on your natural hair. So we're talking like straight backs or even creative patterns. So with this style, your hair lies flat, and if done right, there is low tension on your edges and scalp because that is very vulnerable. Also, there are no loose ends, which equals reduced breakage, and it's long lasting, and again easy to maintain your scalp's health because it's easy access, right? Okay, so another short-term protective style is the halo braid or the crown braid, which I really like as it's quite elegant and perfect for keeping your ends tucked. So your ends are tucked into a braid pattern, and there's little to no tension on your hair strands. And once again, this is an elegant, low effort and long lasting protective style. I actually love wearing this style. And last but not least, for short term protective styles are the tucked and roll updos. So these are styles that hide the ends within this style itself. So your hair is rolled or folded to hide the ends with no extensions required, and this style can last several days with little adjustments.